I watched the interview with Eddie Hearn several days ago, maybe even a week or more ago. I can't remember exactly now. But he was asked in an interview about the Dillian Whyte, Ian Lewison fight. And he said that that fight is virtually signed for October 7th in Scotland. Now, as you can see on screen, Ian Lewison says that he's actually signed his contract now. So we're just waiting for, I guess, Dillian Whyte to sign his and for it to be formally announced. I mean, assuming Dillian Whyte hasn't already signed his. I personally like this fight. I think it's a good fight for October 7th. I think it's a good fight for Dillian Whyte at this stage of his career. There are some people who agree with that. There are quite a few people that disagree. I've seen some people say, nah, Hartman, Dillian Whyte needs a better opponent than Ian Lewison. Well, he tried to get Antonio Tarver. Whether you consider that a better opponent or not, I don't know. He's certainly a bigger name. And sometimes people get caught up with names more than the actual ability of the fighter. Oh, this guy's got a name, therefore he's better than this younger guy who is more ambitious and is more powerful and is stronger, for an example, in Ian Lewison. I did not like the Tarver fight for Dillian Whyte. Even though it's a name, Tarver is a very old man. He is horrible to watch, excruciatingly boring, and he's awkward. And I just thought, nah, I don't want to see that fight for Dillian Whyte. With Ian Lewison, the two of them know each other very well. They both do train, or at least have trained, at Miguel's gym in Brixton, which is a very well-known gym in Brixton. I've even trained there myself. And according to Dillian Whyte, I mean, I always believed they must have sparred, okay, because there were only so many heavyweights in that gym, and they were definitely in the gym around the same time, you know, in around the same time frame over a certain period of years. So they must have sparred. And Dillian Whyte has come out and said, yes, he has sparred Ian Lewison. And according to him, he's been bashing Ian Lewison up in sparring for years. This is what Dillian Whyte claims. I haven't heard Ian Lewison say anything back about that specifically, but, you know, we'll see. In my experience, fighters who have sparred each other and have a rivalry from sparring, when they get in the ring and end up fighting, particularly when they're young guys, it tends to be a pretty good fight. Now, I mentioned this previously when I was talking about the last battle of Brixton, which was Danny Williams versus Keith Long. Them two had sparred as well. And there was a lot of pride, a lot of South London pride going into the Danny Williams-Keith Long fight, and it turned out to be a terrific scrap. I'm telling you, people, so many people are trying to sleep on that fight, you know. When I talk about Danny Williams versus Keith Long, they're like, oh, come on, man, I don't want to watch no domestic fight from 20 years ago or whatever it was. Trust me, that was a wicked fight. And I think it could be similar here with Dillian Whyte against Ian Lewison. There's a hell of a lot of pride. These guys train in the same gym. There's, you know, rivalry from them sparring sessions. There's pride in terms of being the best guy in Brixton, if not South London, although people have rightly pointed out that David Hay is South London's finest at heavyweight at the moment. But, you know, he's been out for a while, so that is what that is. Yeah, I personally like the fight. I think Ian Lewison is a tremendous puncher. He's very aggressive. And regardless of who wins, I think it will be entertaining for however long it lasts. I think he'll definitely let his hands go more than Dave Allen, because he's more experienced than Dave Allen. He hasn't had that many pro fights, Ian Lewison, but he was a very experienced amateur, and he fought very, very high level amateurs like Odliner Solis. He fought David Price and many, many other people. So he's not going to be a guy that goes in there and don't throw no damn punches. And at the end of the day, he's fighting, if the fight goes ahead, he's fighting Dillian Whyte on a decent sized show, but it's not going to be a huge show. It's not going to be like the Kell Brook, Gennady Golovkin show. Nothing like that. So I don't think there's going to be any type of stage fright or anything like that for Ian Lewison. And yeah, I think it's going to be bombs away. It's going to be fireworks. And may the best man win. So I definitely look forward to the fight. And particularly on this kind of short notice, I don't see who else they could have got better than Ian Lewison on this type of short notice and more appropriate than Ian Lewison for Dillian Whyte. You know, who else do you want Dillian Whyte to fight? Clearly, he wasn't ready for the leap in class that he made fighting Anthony Joshua. He wasn't ready. Particularly when it comes to his conditioning. He admitted that himself. His conditioning was nowhere near where it needed to be to fight Anthony Joshua. So at this point in time, he's trying to get his conditioning right. And he's trying to progress his level of opposition gradually. Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. So I don't get why people are complaining about that. You know, he's trying to do things the right way for his progression as a fighter. Now, Dave Allen has been on Twitter. Shout out to Dave Allen, and he said that he don't think that Ian Lewison is as durable as he is, but he thinks that Ian Lewison does hit harder than he does. And he said a few other things, which I definitely agree with. I mean, I don't know about the durability aspect. Ian Lewison, I've never seen him hurt or down or anything like that in a professional ring. So he might be as durable as Dave Allen. I don't know. But in terms of the punching power, yeah, he hits harder than Dave Allen and he's a lot more aggressive. He throws a lot more punches. The big criticism with Ian Lewison is that he's not in shape and doesn't train properly. Dillian Whyte has been saying that, you know, Ian Lewison trains like once a day or something and then plays Xbox for the rest of the week. You know, it's all banter and back and forth. And obviously, Ian Lewison's been coming back with his own trash talk and what have you. So that has always been the big criticism of Ian Lewison. Can he get into any type of real shape in such a short time frame? For a 12-round fight, probably not. Well, even a 10-round fight, probably not. But he's going to give it a good go while he's in there, and he's definitely going to try to go for the KO. And a recent example of two guys who, I may have mentioned this before, but a recent example of two guys who sparred extensively and knew each other well from sparring was Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Now, obviously, at this stage, clearly, Dillian Whyte and Ian Lewison are not on the same level as those two guys, and they're heavyweights, not welterweights. But still, that kind of familiarity does breed contempt because there's no sense of the unknown when Dillian Whyte and Ian Lewison get in the ring with each other. They know each other very, very well. And in situations like that, fighters tend to be less cautious because they know what they're dealing with. They tend to just go in there and try and stamp their authority on the other guy immediately. And that's kind of what I'm expecting, man. So I hope it's a good fight. I'm expecting a good fight. I hope it gets signed. I hope it goes ahead. Drop your comments in the comment section below, people. Maybe you disagree. Who do you think they should have got for Dillian Whyte as an opponent for October 7th if it wasn't Ian Lewison? Because Antonio Tarver turned the fight down. Who else, man? I can't think of nobody else they could have got for him. There is the possibility that Dillian Whyte could fight Eric Molina in December because at the moment, Derek Chisora don't seem very interested in fighting Dillian Whyte. This is what Eddie Hearn says, and also Dillian Whyte saying it. He said, he just don't seem interested. So there's the possibility that he could fight Eric Molina. Molina says he's up for the fight. Dillian Whyte says he's up for that fight in December. And we'll see what happens with that. Also, going back to that interview where Eddie Hearn was talking about Whyte Lewison being virtually a done deal, he also said that David Price versus Joseph Parker on the Joshua undercard on November 26th is also close to being signed, which is very interesting. Obviously, Parker has got to get past Dimitrenko first. Depending on how tough that fight is, he may or may not fight on November 26th. So we'll have to see how that goes. But if he does end up fighting Price on November 26th, I think that's very interesting. Whoever wins that fight, you have to imagine it's probably going to be a brutal knockout. Most people are picking Parker, but Price can punch with the best of them. For all the criticism about his chin, which I think is valid, the criticism about his stamina and his heart and him being too stiff and all this other stuff, the guy can punch just as well as anybody in the heavyweight division. And when you got that kind of power, you've always got a chance. Especially when you combine it with the fact that he's so much taller and rangier than Joseph Parker. So, me personally, I'm actually quite looking forward to that fight if it goes ahead. They still haven't sorted out an opponent for Joshua yet. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. But drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about everything I talked about in this video. I think there was one more point I wanted to make about this Dillian Whyte, Ian Lewison fight, but I just can't remember what it was off the top of my head. Hopefully I remember it and talk about it in a future video. So yeah, let me know how you feel, people. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.